Hey, today we're looking at an example of an email that comes across as unprofessional. We're going to analyze some of the things that make this email unprofessional, that make it sound bad. And of course, we are going to fix it up and talk about the things that we can change to make this email more professional. Let's go. Okay, so here is a scenario for this email. Let's imagine that you are having some trouble or some challenges with a new software that your company has implemented, okay? So you're facing some problems, but your company has outsourced your IT department. This means your IT department is not located in your physical office, so you have to contact them via email. You can't just walk over to their desk and say, listen, I'm having a problem, can you help me, okay? So that's the scenario. You also know that your IT department is especially busy right now, but you need to get this problem solved, okay? So here's an example of the email that you may have written to them. Your subject is urgent issue. Hello, George. I am writing to you because I am facing a problem. I have been facing the same issue with the new software for weeks, and it's really frustrating. This needs to be fixed immediately, or else we cannot get any work done. I've already wasted so much time dealing with this, and it's affecting my team's productivity. I need a solution right away. Regards, Alex. So feel free to pause the video and reread the email again if you need to. Now, let's talk about some of the things that are wrong with this email. First and foremost, you have an unprofessional and demanding tone. So phrases like, this needs to be fixed immediately, or I need a solution right away, sound very demanding. It's like you're saying, do this for me now. That's exactly what it sounds like. It's also unprofessional because you're not considering the other person's workload or the other person's role. It sounds like the other person has to do this for you now and they have nothing else to do. So it shows a lack of consideration for the other person, and that is very unprofessional. At the end of the day, the IT department also has their own work to do. So it is important to consider them and their workload as well. Another problem with this email is that we see emotional language being used. Like, this is really frustrating. This is really frustrating. Generally, when you are writing professional emails or emails for work, you don't want to involve emotional language. You want to keep it factual. Even though the situation probably is really frustrating, that is irrelevant. Instead, you need to focus on the facts and the solutions, okay? You want to keep your emotions out of it because unfortunately, this is not the time or the place to be saying, okay, how frustrating this is. When we use language that is too emotional in professional emails, it also tells our recipient or our reader that we have a lack of control over our emotions. And unfortunately, when you lose control of your emotions in a professional setting, it's very hard to regain the respect of the other person, okay? So be very careful, even if you're frustrated, even if you're mad, even if the situation is ridiculous, be really careful not to focus on how you're feeling, but focus instead on the problem, the facts, and the steps you need to take to find a solution. Next, this email is actually quite unclear and general. You've basically said, I have a problem, but you haven't said what problem you have. You have not taken the time to describe the problem. Instead, the overall email is more focused on how the problem is making you feel, how frustrated you are, that you need to get your work done. It's almost like this email is just venting, okay? Instead, it's important to be clear and specific so that George understands how he can actually help you. The way the email is now, George will have to reply to you, ask you what the problem is, and this is actually wasting time because you've stated in this email that you've had this problem for weeks now, right? So a lot of time has already passed. We don't want to waste more time just because we have been too vague, too general, or unclear. So what do we need to do to make this email better? First up, we need to change our tone. We need to use a more professional and neutral tone. So less emotional and more professional. We need to stick to the facts, okay? And in improving our tone, we can also include an opening statement underneath our greeting just to make the email slightly more polite, okay? I know that it's a frustrating situation, but the reality is that you have to work with George on an ongoing or continuous basis. So it is important to preserve the relationship and maintain a level of professionalism. So with our tone, we want to be more polite, more professional, more respectful, more neutral and factual overall. Next, you want to make sure that you actually request help or ask for help instead of demanding help. Instead of saying, this needs to be fixed, you need to fix this, you actually want to make a clear request so that George knows exactly what you need from him. As well, you want to be clear and specific. Make sure that you actually say what the problem is, how it's affected you, and what you need. We don't want to have this generic, general email that says, there's a problem, I'm frustrated, fix it, okay? With that, George can't fix anything. So we need to make sure that we are clear and specific and to the point as well. So now let's look at an alternative, more professional version of this email. So our new subject line is request for assistance with a software issue. Dear George, I hope you are well. I'm writing regarding an ongoing issue that I've been facing with the new presentation software for the past 3 weeks. I am unable to access any shared files. I understand that you are busy. However, I would greatly appreciate your assistance with resolving this issue. Could we schedule a time to discuss the problem in more detail? I'm sure that we can find a solution that ensures minimal disruption to our workflow and allows my team to meet their deadlines. I look forward to hearing from you. Best regards, Alex. Now I'm gonna pop both of the emails up on the screen for you. Pause as long as you need to, compare them side by side, and see if you can pinpoint the differences and improvements that we talked about. So just to recap the improvements that we made, we changed our overall tone to be more professional, more polite, respectful, and neutral. We didn't use emotional language, and we were more specific. We were describing the facts, the problems, and making a clear request for help, okay? So from the second email, George was able to understand what was wrong and what you needed from him. You kept your emotions out of it, and the result was a nice, polished, professional, clear, easy to read email. Now, I know that it is not always easy to naturally get the tone right, especially in a frustrating or challenging situation like this. But it is an extremely, extremely, extremely important part of professional communication. Your tone really makes a big difference in the way that people react to you, in the way that people feel about you, in the capacity that they work with you, okay? So it is really important to practice getting your tone right. And this is something I teach in detail in the Essential English for Business course. I talk about emailing, I talk about your tone in professional communications. So this is an online self-study, self-paced business English course. I will link it down below so you can check it out. Now let me know if you enjoyed this type of lesson, this type of practice, and if you would like to see more lessons like this. As well, don't forget to grab your free ebook, English Conversations Made Simple. I wrote this one to help you improve your English communication and conversation skills. It's free, it's linked down below as well. Thank you so much for watching, learning, and spending time with me today. I'll see you very soon in another one.